Hello, people. How are you doing? I hope you're doing fine. Today, in our class, we will be talking about meals. So, what types of food do we eat in the morning, afternoon, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever? So, first of all, we have here the breakfast. Um, and You see the picture, what people use to eat in breakfast is the first meal of the day. It breaks the fasting period of the previous night. So the fasting period is that period you stay without eating anything. And the composition varies from place to place, culture to culture, uh, and has varied over time too. So at the beginning was more simple, then start to develop. People start to eat things that normally they didn't eat at all. So it's changed too. Breakfast in Brazil. So talking specifically about our country, mostly is between 6 and half past 8 a.m. Uh, but I also feel Brazilians would start the day without it. So some people in Brazil do not have breakfast, me included. Most of the times I don't have breakfast. I drink some juice and some coconut water, things like that. But it's a meal of pure necessity, harder than a social event. So most of the times, the breakfast you do by yourself, your family. The most important drink is coffee. Uh, but for example, me personally, I don't drink coffee at all. I have sleeping problems, and every time I drink coffee, these problems get even worse. But people like drink coffee black with plenty of sugar, or as we call pingado, strong with a dash of milk, or media, which have coffee, have heat up milk, right? Some people go to chocolate powder with milk, it's common. Fruit juices, orange and guava. Most of the times we eat the French bread, we call pão francês. Cheese and ham is very common. We call it misto. Uh, Unfrosted orange or corn cake, it's also it's used like to eat with milk most of the times. And so this is the breakfast in Brazil. Here we go to the lunch. Lunch in Brazil is a meal eaten. Actually, lunch all around the world mostly is eaten around midday. During the 20th century, the meal meaning gradually narrowed to a small, mid-sized meal eaten midday. Is interesting because this is like an American way of watching things. Because in Brazil, we used to eat a lunch like as this dish you are watching there, beautiful in my opinion, is considered the second meal of the day. Varies in size depends on the culture. So, for example, in American culture, is the lunch. It's sometimes a burger or things like that, some French fries. While so people can eat walking, going to work, coming back to work, whatever. While in Brazil and most Latin influenced countries, the lunch is a very important time of the day for eating. And for example, in my case, it's my first meal of the day as I don't have breakfast. So it's really important in this case. Talking about lunch in Brazil specifically, So one of the most important meals around midday or 1 p.m. Sometimes an hour lunch, and then we have casually chatting. For example, it's in the restaurant for the Instituto Federal. We used to have a lunch and talk about things. Most of the time, things for laughing. And Brazilian lunches mostly consist by beans, rice, meat, fish, salad, vegetables. We have like pudding as a dessert. Some people like to drink coffee after it. I don't think it's a good idea, but and there's also the business lunch that much longer than an hour because we were talking about business. Uh, important meeting most of the times around 10:30 to 11 a.m. People here in Brazil, it's very common the churrascaria, right? It's a steak house and several cuts of meat for people who like it. I'm trying to become a vegetarian, so I decrease the amount of meat I used to eat. I was never too much fond of meat, so it was not difficult for me to get rid of it. And the dinner, historically, is the largest meal, eaten around midday and called dinner, but this is the origin of the dinner. Migrated later in the day, uh, so in very hot climates, people have always tend to eat the main meal in the evening because the temperature is has fallen, right? And dinner in Brazil, sometimes, for example, for poor families, is mostly a dinner is the things that were left, the leftovers from the lunch, right? Sometimes you have a soup, a thing like that, but the most common in Brazil is to eat what you have ate in lunch. You just cook it and eat again. A dinner in Brazil, specifically, um, tends to be a family event, family together, and that's interesting. Teenagers in the family may take their food to eat in their room. So nowadays it's very common to families who don't eat together because at different times, whatever the reasons it is. So some people they have dinner like rice, beans, the meat, stroganoff, lasagna, or pizza, eating around 7 p.m., 8 p.m., sometimes a bit later than it. Uh, and then we have also here the idea of happy hour, right? That it's after the the work time, so 8 and 9 p.m. Work colleagues to socialize outside the work, so they have a beer, some caipirinha, whatever, and they chat to relax for the next day of work. So, and the happy hour is a very common thing here in Brazil. And here, I for finish, I bring here some discussion about food. So, and then I have a picture of a weird food is a girl eating a bat soup. It looks awful. And then I made some questions here. What is the weirdest food you have eaten? Is there any type of food you cannot eat? So if you have allergy or something that is not go good with you. And number three, is there any weird combination you do? Like pineapple with butter, beans with yogurt. So this is some questions for you, and you can answer them to check your connections with food. Some people they are more into food. Other people they eat what is there. They are not too much thoughtful about diets and things like that. So I hope I have helped you to develop your vocabulary about food. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.